You call this 3.7 billion euro charge a first step, an important first step on resolution. How much bigger can this charge be, and are there multiple steps to come?
No, thank you. And as you said, there was an important step toward the resolution of the structure alpha matter. And we achieved an agreement with the majority of the investors. Clearly, there are still ongoing conversations with remaining plaintiffs. We have also ongoing conversation with the DOJ and the SEC. These conversations are very constructive. So from that point of view, clearly there is still uncertainty around the issue, but what is important, we took today major steps toward the resolution of this issue. You can understand we have also confidentiality that we need to respect. And from that point of view, I cannot add much to the topic, if not telling you that that's been a major step, especially finding this settlement with the majority of the investors.
I understand that. I also understand the difficulty when one is in active negotiations, but the market has put in numbers of nearly 6 billion that this could cost you. Is that a fair estimate by the market, or is that just too extreme?
You know, again, it would be just speculative, and again, so wouldn't be appropriate to speculate on any number. I can repeat, we made a major step, and when the situation is going to evolve, we're going to provide any update that we can provide. But again, today was a major step with this agreement and settlement with the majority of the investors.
Okay. Giulio, then it bears the question, when you look at the lawsuit and you look at the language around the lawsuit, simple question for me, have you now initiated and implemented a root and branch overhaul of risk control at Allianz as a business?
Yeah, first of all, overall, we think our system of control of Allianz Group is very strong. Clearly, we are looking very carefully in what didn't go as it was supposed to go into the operation of AGI. So clearly, we're going to take all steps, and we are taking all steps that we need to take in order to make sure that this kind of situations are not going to happen again. So that's you can be sure about that.
Let's talk about the rest of the business. Operationally, at the top line, fourth quarter operating profit, 3.51 billion. I know we have this provision reducing the overall position. Where was the strength at an operational level? Where's the alpha in Allianz in the quarter?
Yeah, I would say the alpha of Allianz in the quarter was across the franchise. I think that's really the beauty of a diversified business model, where all segments are really having strong performance. And if you look also at the performance in 2021, all our segments were able to beat the outlook. In property casualty, our outlook was 5.6 billion of operating profit, and we achieved 5.7 billion of operating profit. And this even if the net cat load was very high. When you look in the life segment, 5 billion of operating profit, very strong new business margin, new business value, so also a very impressive performance. And don't forget that we did also a few relevant backbook transactions. And then asset management, 3.5 billion of operating profit with 110 billion of inflows at a very, very great year. And I want also to say that AGI achieved over 900 million of operating profit this year. So a very strong performance across the segments.
Giulio, what's going on at PIMCO at the start of this year? We've got a bond market that's imploding. What can you tell me what's happening at PIMCO in terms of business, in terms of flow?
Yeah, I would say for the month of January, flows at PIMCO were still positive. Then we need to see how the situation is going to evolve in the course of 2022. My view on rising interest rates is the following. Clearly, in the short term, this can create some volatility because the asset base can come down, plus the flows might be choppy. But fundamentally, higher rates are a positive for the franchise of PIMCO. So if you look at the mid-long term, or if you do a present value of expected profit, higher rates are definitely a positive for the franchise of PIMCO. So we are not looking at higher rates with fear. We are looking indeed at higher rates as a positive lever for us, and clearly there could be some pricing volatility at the beginning of this journey, but the journey will be definitely a positive one for us.
Giulio, there are some people out there that are quite literally quaking in their boots. They're worried about a Volcker-style move from the Federal Reserve. I think you and I might have been around then, 1980. Do we need a Volcker-style move, 50 basis points, and sell 10, 15 billion dollars worth of treasuries the day afterwards? Do we need that to contain inflation? I think what we need to contain inflation is, I would say, a very clear communication about the fact that the central banks are not going to allow inflation to go up, and also to see clearly facts following the talk. So I would say just a clear message that moving rates up and giving the indication that rates might go up further if inflation doesn't subside. I think that will be enough to relieve the system, because now there is maybe this fear that inflation could spiral. So I think clear communication and some facts are going to help definitely to keep the situation under control. And let's just square it away. You don't fear a bond market crash and an implosion, 3%, 4%. Where do you think 10 years yields will climb to? I would say they could be 50 basis points higher than where they are now. Maybe, could also be 100 basis points higher compared to what they are now. There wouldn't be, again, they would have an impact on the short-term performance, and especially the flows might be choppy, as I was saying before, but we don't see this as a negative. So when you think about what the prospect for the bond markets will be following that increase, that those prospects are just getting better, they're not getting worse. Giulio, I want to close off where we started, because your response surprised me a little bit. A 3.7 billion euro charge on a hedge fund which imploded, which was supposed to take and cover people's risk. When I said to you how you had done a root and branch change of risk management in the business, and you responded that you thought that it was good risk management, I don't think that that's going to work for the shareholders, because you're taking a near 4 billion euro hit. Where have you identified as being the gap in the risk management process to avoid something like this ever happening again? Yeah, my comment was overall the system of control of Allianz Group is very strong. Clearly, in a specific area, something might not have worked as expected, and we are going to be able to speak about what happened there and also what the consequences are after we have a resolution of the current proceeding.